Hey, this is Tom Nash, and Israel is about to pull an absolute massive move against Hizbollah, against Lebanon, a huge push. But here's the thing, it's not going to fire a single bullet. It's absolutely outside the box. You see, while the October 7th attacks initiated a war in Gaza, they've also started a whole new process, which now Israel is going to take advantage of to push against Hezbollah and Lebanon. About a year before the October 7th attacks, the Israelis and the Lebanese signed a very interesting deal. In October of 2022, they've actually signed a deal resolving a multi-decade dispute about the ownership of about 300 miles of territorial water off the coast of Lebanon and Israel. Now, those territorial waters matter because in those territorial waters, there was one field of natural gas that Israel and Lebanon want to explore and develop. Now, while the Israelis have multiple fields that they've started developing for years and their economy benefited massively from that, Lebanon never had anything of sorts. And Lebanon, unlike Israel as an economy, is in dire straits. It's actually in the midst of probably the worst recession, the worst economic crisis we've seen in Lebanon in modern history. And in 2022, a deal was reached to resolve this issue, to give everybody what they want. Sort of, but not exactly. And that deal that was made in 2022, it was oddly enough not with Israel. The Lebanese signed a deal with the US, and the US signed a deal with Israel because basically the Lebanese and the Israelis aren't speaking. Now, according to the terms of the deal, the Lebanese got everything they asked economically, territorially. They got what they wanted. The Israelis got a promise, essentially a promise from the Lebanese not to assault the Israelis, not to launch attacks, not to launch a war. Basically, the Israelis gave up everything, and the Lebanese said, well, we promise, pretty please, we'll be fine. Now, obviously, that deal was vouched by the United States, but we know what these sort of deals usually look like. And what eventually happened is not a year goes by, the 2023 October 7th attacks happen. And ever since that point, Lebanon, or more likely Hezbollah from Lebanon, fired 2,000 rockets into Israel since October 7th and up until this day. So, massive daily rocket attacks from Lebanon to Israel into civilian populated areas, hundreds of thousands of civilians evacuated from their homes in the north of Israel, and a whole new war on the northern front of Israel. Now, while the Israelis never really wanted to escalate because, who wants to fight a two-front war? You got to be crazy to do that. So they preferred to focus on Gaza and basically manage the conflict with Hezbollah and Lebanon, basically just retaliating after each attack. The Hezbollah shoots a missile or rocket, something gets damaged, so the IDF and the Air Force, they shoot down a few military installations in Lebanon, etc., etc. Blow up some empty warehouses, kill a few commanders, whatever, but nothing that leads to a war, basically because nobody really wanted the war. Lebanon can't afford it, Hezbollah can't survive it, and the Israelis don't want it. So it's kind of a convenient Mexican standoff, let's put it this way. Now, what ended up happening is that slowly but surely the Israelis understood, wait, we can't basically leave this be. There's no way for this thing to just go away, right? Even if we defeat Hamas, even if we take Gaza, which is most likely what's going to happen, how are we going to deal with the Lebanese? How are we going to deal with Hezbollah? We could go to war and launch another war and basically spend another year in the Lebanese mud pool with questionable results and somewhat of an unrewarding exercise, let's put it this way. Or we can be more creative and we can push where it hurts because we're Israelis, right? We're more creative than what people give us credit for. Why go head first into a cement wall? Why not be smart about it? So over the past few days, some officials that are no longer in office, but former ministers, former officials, you know how this works, right? So some former officials came out and said, look, the terms of that agreement with Lebanon were quite simple. Right? We said, you can get the water, you can get all the gas. We just want peace and quiet. Leave us alone. Don't attack us. You can have everything. Now, we basically met our end of the bargain. We let you have it. Now, ever since October 7th, you fired 2,000 rockets at our country into our civilian centers. You just breached the agreement materially, which gives us the right, if not the obligation, to void this agreement and basically cause the dispute to arise again. And basically take away the only lifeline the Lebanese economy has to get out of the shithole, the shit's creek it's in right now. There's no other way for the Lebanese economy to survive without this gas deal. That's the only chance, the only Hail Mary. And even that, Might not even work, but that's a whole different story. So basically, the Israelis are now saying, look, guys, we can cancel the agreement. Now, the Lebanese, from the beginning of the story, and I have to make it clear, always said, hey, Israel, we don't want war with you. It's not us. It's not us. It's not us doing it. It's the Hizbollah. It's Hezbollah. It's not the sovereign Lebanon. You know that Lebanon is a broken country. We don't even have a proper government. It's like these crazy yahoos in the south of Lebanon causing all this stuff. It's not us. It's not Lebanon, the country. Please don't start a war with us. And there's no doubt that Lebanon, the country, does not want a war with Israel and certainly does not want this deal to be voided. Now, the Israelis have been okay with that so far, even though they kind of grinded their teeth saying, well, guys, get a hold of this Hezbollah people. But now they're basically forcing Lebanon to make a choice. Because you see, if Lebanon loses this agreement, what ends up happening is something very interesting. Israel doesn't have to fire a single bullet. They don't have to take over anything. Because you see, once this 330 square mile strip or triangle becomes disputed again, well, there's not a single developer in the world, not French, not Canadian, not US, not anywhere, that's going to develop that region. The whole idea for Lebanon was to get somebody who has skills and with money that's going to come in and develop that field, that's going to basically, explore it and develop it and whatnot. It's billions of dollars the Lebanese don't have. Now, this worked because the dispute got solved. If this becomes a disputed water again, there ain't nobody in the world that's going to take the risk of coming in there and basically investing billions of dollars just to find themselves in a war zone and legal stuff and international lawsuits about who owns what. And basically, that kills the entire exploration and development of that field until further notice. Now, the Israelis are trying to achieve one simple thing here, which is force the Lebanese to take action against Hezbollah. They're basically saying to the Lebanese, guys, we understand you don't want a war with us, but you're also conveniently basically letting Hezbollah do whatever they want, terrorize our people, and you're not doing diddly squat about it. Where's your military? Where's your sovereignty? So the Israelis are pushing Lebanon through economic threats into taking action against Hezbollah from inside, which is a brilliance we haven't seen from Israel in a long time. We usually see them kind of reactive and responsive and passive. This is the first time they're actually doing some creative stuff on the international scene without actually firing bullets, which is actually pretty cool. Now, whether the Israelis are bluffing or they are serious about it, it doesn't really matter because the threat is serious enough for the Lebanese to make a choice. They either deal with Hezbollah and say, Hezbollah, cut it out, or they take the chance of basically destroying their country, their economy, which, by the way, will also destroy Hezbollah because Hezbollah is nothing but a parasite. And if the host body dies, guess what happens to the parasite? So, very interesting play. And the fact is that the Israelis didn't really officially came out and said that. Some unofficial former people said it, but you know how these things work. Now, as always, I'm not going to push out videos every day. If I don't have anything interesting to report about, I'm not going to regurgitate what you see in mainstream media. I mean, that's not my style. I don't live off this channel. Now, having said that, it would be nice to make a few shekels of this channel just to kind of support what we're doing here. And if you'd like to do that, well, there's a few ways to do that. Number one, you can share these videos, which helps. Number two, you can become a channel member on YouTube, or you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/TomNashReport. Whatever it is, we're fine with it. Even if you're just watching the videos, that's fine. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, if you think I'm an idiot. I'll see you in the next one.